Hi, it's Andrea Marcum. Thank you for joining me for Crow is Me. You've probably heard the expression, woe is me. And with this 15-minute-ish workshop, my hope is that we will turn woe is me into crow is me, specifically Ekapada Bakasana or single-legged crow. So, a couple of things. You're going to want to be a little bit warm for this workshop. So ideally, you have about 5 sun salutations under your belt. And if you don't, feel free to pause us here. We'll be here waiting for you, and then come back and join us. And when you do, you're also going to want to have a block with you. So make sure that you have a block for this practice too. Once you're back, we're going to start lying on your back. So you're going to lie down on your back. And we'll start with just your feet on the ground, hip distance, knees can fall in on one another, and place one hand on your heart and one hand on your low belly. Let's land before we take flight. With your eyes closed, just let your breath come in and out through your nose. Maybe you even have a moment where you just picture the pose. There's a steadiness to your breath and your temperament. There's no way to do this wrong. I guess the only way you could actually do it wrong is if you don't have fun with it. So set yourself up to be curious and a beginner. After all, the ultimate goal in yoga is to take on beginner's mind, to begin again, to be a beginner. So with your breath now, steady in a pattern of samariti or even breathing, you're going to create a crow upside down. So you're going to take your hands to the sky as if that was the ground. And then you're going to bring your knees to the outsides of your arms as if doing a crow position upside down. And I'd like you to snuggle your knees up the triceps as best you can. And that means you're going to need to lift your tailbone off the ground and then try to lift your shoulder blades off the ground. And if it's anything like it feels like when I'm doing it, it looks pretty goofy to look at, but when you're the one doing it, it means business. You can feel your core turn on. You wouldn't mind if I sort of like sped up what I'm saying right now while you're hanging out in it. But you're feeling some really important components of what's going to serve us later on in our Ekapada Bakasana. So see if you can keep those knees next to the tricep, in particular right now, the left tricep. And then you're going to start to extend your right leg out in front of you to hover off the ground. And your tailbone will need to find the ground as you do that. But you try to keep the left knee snuggling up your arm. I know. You can flex a little bit of energy into that extended leg. And you're basically finding your single-legged crow already. So in a way, crow is me right out of the gate. So take a few breaths here and remember our calm breath that was through the nose. You may want to try to keep the palms of your hands to the sky, just so you kind of have that feeling of what the hands are going to do eventually on the ground. And then we're going to bring that right knee to snuggle up against the right tricep again, and we'll switch legs. So now you're going to take your left leg out in front of you, and you're going to let that hover above the ground. I find a little dorsiflexion, meaning a little bit of pressing the heel of that left leg out, helpful. For me, how's it going with the right knee against the right tricep? And how's it going with lifting the shoulder blades off your mat, right? Nice, steady, even inhales and exhales. All right, then we're going to bring that left knee back against the arm. So we're in our pretend upside down Bakasana again. And just see if you can get a little teenier and tinier, like really let that core engage. Bring the knees up the triceps a little bit. Imagine that I'm going to come and slide my hands underneath your shoulder blades and see if that could happen. We're going to take 3 breaths like this. And just like you were hoping I was going to say, you're going to extend your right leg out again in front of you and hover. Do your best. Try to convince that left knee against the tricep. Brilliant. Really good. Shoulder blades are still lifted if you can. And then float that right knee back against the arm. Really good. And then give it a shot on the other side again. So you're going to go ahead and extend the left leg. Let that hover. Samariti, meaning even breathing, no matter what shenanigans are going on upside down here on your back. And then bring your left knee in onto your left tricep one last little time, getting a little snuggly, a little teenier and tinier. 3 breaths, just like this, really great. And then hug the knees into your chest. So probably, hopefully, you felt a little something there. You're going to rock forward and back until you come onto your hands and knees. So come onto your hands and knees. And then once you're on your hands and knees, you're going to interlace your hands and bring your forearms down onto the ground. And we're going to come into a dolphin pose. So it's like a karate chop of the ground. Curl your toes under. Hips lift up and back like we're doing a little down dog on our forearms. And then you're going to lean forward as if to take a drink of water or almost put your chin on the ground in front of you. And then you'll bring yourself back into your dolphin pose. We'll do that a couple of times. So you're going to lean forward as if to put your chin on the ground in front of you. And then bring it back. We're going to try to do 5 of those. You can do what you can and skip the bits you need to. Leaning forward and bringing yourself back. Leaning forward, little drink of water, and bringing yourself back. I'm horrible at counting, but I believe this is 5. So we'll lean forward, but stay here and enjoy the view. And notice where you are in space. And then bring yourself back. Place your knees down. And we're going to let this become downward facing dog. So hands spread wide, curl your toes under, and come into Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog, which is a lot like your dolphin that we were just in. And in your down dog, just notice your hands in the ground and really get an established foundation here. It's like you're reaching your fingers deep into the soil. And there's a little bit less of slamming the heel into your mat and a little bit more of a wide reach in your hands. That's going to be important when we go for our Ekapada Bakasana a little bit later. So from here, you're going to come forward into a plank position. And in plank position, all that core work that we started with is going to come into play as well. So you want to feel the thigh bones pressed to the sky, a sensibility of a lift of the low belly, so some Uddiyana Bandha. And then I want you to kind of dare yourself to lean a bit forward like we were doing in our drink of water, even though you're now in a plank position. Excellent. 3 breaths here. If you need to drop your knees down for your plank, that's fine. You just want to make sure that you're not letting those hips sink too far towards the ground. You can let your arms stay straight. Excellent. And then Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And continue to be really curious about your hands on your mat. In downward facing dog, you're going to shift forward into plank. And in your plank position, I want you to dare yourself to shift a little bit forward like we were finding in our drink of water. Fan the fingers out. Really feel a sense of Uddiyana Bandha, so that lift of the low belly, thigh bones pressing to the sky. And it's like you're toying. It's almost precariously far forward. Let the breath stay steady and feel the core engage like we were finding when we were doing our upside down Bakasana business. 3 breaths like this. Your dristi, your gazing point, is just beyond the front edge of your mat. Great. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Let your head relax in every way. So physically you feel that and you're not overthinking what we're up to here. And then you're going to inhale and come back into your plank position. Stay with that precarious, slightly forward feel. And then you're going to pick up your right foot and take your right knee to your right arm. So it's almost like half of the crow that you were doing upside down. Keep playing with what's going on in your fingers and in your hands. and let that really participate in the balance. If you needed to, you could put your left knee down on the ground as we explore this. Great. We're going to return to plank. So put the right foot down on the ground and then downward facing dog, hips up and back. Couple moments to breathe here. Excellent. And then again, you're going to shift it to plank upper push-up position. And in your plank, pick up the left foot this time and take your left knee to your left tricep. It's like a little mini flashback as to your Bakasana upside down. The thought is that your left knee is touching your left arm. That may not be a reality right now, but that's fine. We're moving in that direction. And if you need the back knee down, the right knee down, you can do that too. Really great. And then we're going to head back to plank and downward facing dog. So both feet on the ground. Anytime you want to intersperse down dog with a child's pose, collect yourself and come back. That's great. You're going to walk or float your feet up to your hands. You're going to inhale and look forward. Exhale, fold it in. It might be nice to have a set of blocks for this bit, or at least one block for this bit if you want to. We're going to take a standing split. Stand on your right leg, either fingertips on the ground or your hands on your blocks. Extend the left leg behind you. It's not a cranking the hip kind of a lift. You want to feel that you're lifting it from its inseam, and it's not a competition as to who can lift the leg the highest. I want you to feel the mechanics. In fact, let's put a little bend in the right knee so that we know that we're warm enough there to get the muscles cooking. And then let that top leg, the left leg that's lifted, let it drop down a bit. And then extend it up and back and feel like you're using your belly and the inseam of that leg. That action, and you can flex the foot or point the toes, it's up to you, is going to be the back leg in your Ekapada Bakasana in a moment. Take a few moments here if you want to straighten that right leg a little bit and just feel the muscles do that straightening job for you. So it's not about hyperextension. That's my only concern there. Terrific. And then we're going to bring the feet together and we'll switch sides. So standing on the left leg, extend the right leg back behind you. And remember, it's not a matter of cranking the hips to have that happen. We want to keep the hips nice and square. All that little core sensibility we've been playing with is here. And you'll lift from the inseam of your leg and just fold it in. And maybe you lower the leg again like we all did together. And then you lift it and extend it and kind of get that feeling. It's like you're just playing with the actions that we're making our way into. Really great. A couple more steady breaths here. Fantastic. And then you're going to bring your feet together and we'll come to a malasana, like a modified malasana. So squat, great. And you're going to take a bakasana from your squat. And it could be that you already take your block and use that as part of what you're up to. So if you climb up on your block and take your knees to the outsides of your arms like we were doing upside down together and look forward, this could be your bakasana for today. Or you take your feet up off the block and you have your bakasana. Or some of you guys are bakasana professionals and you won't need a block and you'll just do it without the block. So go ahead and take a bakasana. Great. You'll still want your gaze off the front edge of your mat so you can orient yourself. When you look down, it gets a little bit of a blind move. It's a little trickier. Beautiful. Put your feet down and pause for a second. We're going to do one more of those bakasanas. So you can climb back up. Maybe you use your block. Maybe you don't. But up we head. Do fix your gaze a little forward so it kind of has the orientation more of a chaturanga than it does where you feel like you don't know where you're going. Couple breaths here. These are great. Remember, you're feeling your fingers deep in the soil. You're feeling your fingers and hands work. Place your feet down on the ground. Excellent. And we've got all the secret sauce that we need to maybe make this our single-legged bakasana. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your block. You guys can do this too. And you're going to place your block where you can climb up on it, as you may have been doing with your regular bakasana. And you're going to take your palms flat, take your knees up the sides of your arms like when we were lying on our backs at the very beginning of this. You'll come up as if to do your regular bakasana. I'm going to keep my right toes on the block, and I'm going to take my left knee off the back of my arm and extend it like that standing split. And you could totally Photoshop this and take the block out and it would look like you were doing it without it. However, for now, we're using the block. And then you'll put your left foot back on the block. I don't know about you, but that's pretty tricky business, even with a block. And then we'll try side 2. So knees against the arms. You're going to keep your feet on the ground for now as you come up into your Bakasana. Then you're going to keep those left toes on your block. And you're going to use all that core strength and a sense of standing split. And you're going to extend the right leg back behind you. And you have to lean forward like that drink of water. And then you'll put your foot back on your block. And you get to play with that as many times as you want to. But now you're ready to flow your crow, which is a 45-minute flow practice that you can do right now or anytime you feel like it, that's going to integrate what we just did together into a longer flow practice. Thanks for playing, and I'll see you flowing your crow.